Start investing in real estate but don't have the money or credit to buy properties, the good news is you don't need it. Wholesaling real estate lets you make money without owning a single home. In this video, I'll show you how to wholesale real estate with no money, finding deals, but getting paid. First, let's start off talking about what is wholesaling in real estate. So wholesaling is finding discounted properties, putting them under contract, and then assigning that contract to another investor for profit. You're acting essentially as a middleman for between motivated sellers and cash buyers. But you'll never need to buy the property. You just got to control the contract so you can assign that contract to the investor. So now let's talk about why you don't need money to start. And you don't need money from a down payment perspective to put down payment to purchase the property. You're not going to have to get a mortgage, and your credit doesn't matter. That's if your whole business model is just assigning contracts. Now, what you do need to know is, you want to be upfront about it with your sellers that you're dealing with. And you're also going to need to be able to hustle. You're going to need time to find deals. You're going to have a lot of negotiating skills. You're going to have a lot of knowledge about the local real estate market and what the after repair values are, your repair estimates, and what an end buyer essentially would buy the house for. So you got to know your numbers. And by becoming a deal maker and finding deals, the money sometimes should flow to them if it's a good deal. And there's an opportunity to maybe partner with people that do have the funding on deals as well, because you don't want to put all this time and energy and effort into your marketing and not be able get it under contract and not being able to find a buyer in time to assign that contract. So some steps that you can think about as you build out your wholesaling career is first is step one, talk about just building your cash buyers list. And you want to start by connecting investors who have money, connecting with investors who have money and they're ready to buy. And some ways to find them are pretty easy. You could attend your local RIA meetings. RIA stands for Real Estate Investor Association. You could check like Facebook and meetup.com for different investor groups out there and network with people. You could use county records to find recent cash buyers and mail to them or contact them. You could network with house flippers and landlords at local sheriff sale auctions. These are people buying auction properties with cash. And network with other agents, title companies, and everything else to see who the main buyers are in their areas. And then once you meet these people, you kind of figure out what areas do they buy in, what type of properties do they buy, etc. So that's finding buyers. Step two now is finding motivated sellers. And this job is to find basically discounted or off-market properties to that cash buyers list that you just created. So you want to look for vacant homes. You want to look for pre-foreclosures or inherited or probated properties. There's tired landlords. Someone might have rented out a property that they had no intention of being a landlord because they couldn't sell a few years ago. And then any homes that just need major repairs could be motivated seller as well because they don't want to do those renovations. Now, ways to find those list of people that we just mentioned is I'm going to go from a free or low cost method where it's more your time is allocated to it and not money up front. One way is starting for driving for dollars, right? As you're driving around town or walking around town, write down where's the stretched property addresses are, and then look up the county records, and you can contact the owner, mailing or calling. There's cold calling and texting homeowners, but you want to make sure you're in compliance with doing all that kind of stuff from a cold calling and texting perspective. And then there's just like posting ads on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Zillow for sale by owners, contacting them, and just again, networking with other people in your network, family, friends, business people that you meet at these real estate events. Referrals can work as well. So you're going to have to do a lot of trading your time to find these motivated sellers up front before you could spend time on marketing and having the leads come to you. So next is step three is getting a property under contract. Once you found that motivated seller, you're going to use a purchase agreement that allows assignment to another buyer. And you don't need to put down big money. You can just do a small earnest deposit money, just $100 to make the contract binding. And you always have a contingency clause in there so you could exit the deal if it doesn't work out for you. But again, my recommendation, if you're a wholesaler, is just be transparent with people what you're doing up front. And if it is a deal and it's a good number and your investors would buy that number, there should no reason that you should be able to move that property. And then you want to get contacts too from like local attorneys or title companies and find like a local real estate mentor as well to help you guide you through your early deals. That way it goes smoothly and it gets done. Next is step four. That's assign the contract. So you found your motivated seller, you got it under contract. Now you got to be the matchmaker and find that buyer. And you're going to use an assignment agreement to transfer your rights of the contract that you have with the buyer to the new to the seller, I should say, with the new investor buyer that you found. And then the investor buys the property, and you get paid essentially assignment fee. And it could be anywhere from a few $1,000s. I've seen as high as like $25,000 on assignment fee. And I'll use numbers examples real quick, right? You get a property under contract for $150,000, and you assign it to an investor for 160. 160 minus 150 is $10,000, and that's the money you'll get at settlement without ever buying the house. Step five now is we want to close through a title company, right? And the title company is going to handle all the paperwork and ensures everything is legit and legal from a transfer perspective. And at that closing is when you'll get your assignment fee, that $10,000 in the example I just gave. And that's when the new buyer takes ownership of the property. Now, some additional tips for wholesaling with no money, right? You might want to partner with someone who has experience or the money to do it. From an experience perspective, they could guide you along the way, and that partner then might actually buy the property from you, or you could assign it to them. Or I've seen in the past where you have 30 days to find a buyer, and you can't find one in time. You can maybe actually, if it's a deal and you just got to wait, market it a little bit longer, do minor renovations, find that money partner, close on the property, adds credibilities to the sellers. You get future referrals from them, and you can don't lose the deal. You can still rehab it with someone else, or list it on the MLS, and you can buy yourself more time. So there's also a lot of free tools out there to do all this stuff, right? To comping the properties and knowing your active repair values and your current values. Zillow is a great free tool to use. Just look at the sold. You could filter by square footage and last 90 days sold, last 6 months sold, whatever the timeline period is. You can find deals out there on Facebook Marketplace, Zillow for sale by owner, and more. You could use the free searches on your local county property records to find some of those lists that I talked about earlier. And then you want to focus on learning negotiation and eventually marketing and sales. These are going to be your biggest skill sets when basically getting these properties under contract. I really view wholesalers as not so much real estate investors. Yeah, they got to know the numbers, but they're really like marketing and lead gen and negotiation type of companies, right? You got to find the leads, you got to get them under contract, and then sell them or sign the contracts to an investor. And you're going to have to network constantly. The more and more people know, the more and more deals you'll find, and that's essentially the wholesaling game. So the recap, how to make money without spending kind of any money. You're right. You're basically being paid up front for your time and skill, not your cash. So you're going to have to be hustling and finding these properties. And once you find an opportunity, you control it, and you're going to sell that opportunity. You want to start small. And once you find a deal or two, you can take that money and don't necessarily pay yourself all out of it from it. Use it to create a marketing campaign from the, you educate yourself in sales and marketing. Use that money to start a marketing campaign. That way you have more deals coming into you, and you could start trading time for money and vice versa. So some final thoughts here is wholesaling is a great entry point for a lot of people into real estate investing. You could start today with just some phone calls and persistencies. And once you know the numbers, you're going to learn how to spot deals. You'll get more comfortable talking to sellers, and then you're going to build more and more relationships. And that's kind of like your real currency to get deal flow. So if you want to learn how to find your first wholesale deal step by step, hit like and subscribe. And in my next video, I'll kind of show you how to find more motivated sellers for free.